We'll show you everything. Okay. Sure. Yep. We're fine.
I understand you're scary. Go to the police. Go to the police.
Go to the police.
Yeah, you don't look like me. Why are you hiding your faces? Why are you hiding your faces?
Yep. Take everything. Yep. Go back to the doctor.
Yeah, we're going to take them.
I see some faces here. How do I know this is the police? It's like a police. It looks like
it. In the video, Ozturk's voice still echoes. Can I call the police? In a democracy? The answer to that question should never be ambiguous. A chilling video surfaced this week showing the moment Tufts University student Rumeysa Ozturk was detained by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, under murky circumstances that have ignited a political firestorm over the use of force, identity concealment, and immigration enforcement tactics on U.S. soil. The video, obtained by GBH News, captures a scene more reminiscent of an abduction than an official law enforcement operation. A man in a dark hoodie approaches Ozturk in broad daylight, grabs her by the wrists, and prompts her terrified scream. "Can I call the police?" she cries out, only to be told, "Where the police?" The footage has sparked immediate backlash from immigration advocates, students, and civil liberties organizations, many of whom are questioning not only the legality of the detention, but also the secrecy and conduct of the agents involved. This is not law enforcement. It's state-sponsored kidnapping, said Muna Ali, a civil rights attorney with the Massachusetts Immigrant Defense Project. If ICE agents are snatching people off the street without proper identification, without announcing themselves, and without following due process, then we are living in a constitutional crisis. ICE confirmed the detention of Ozturk, a Turkish national, citing an alleged visa violation. But the agency has not released details about the agents involved or the exact nature of the enforcement action. According to legal observers, this lack of transparency is part of a disturbing national pattern in which ICE and other federal agencies operate with little public oversight, often outside the boundaries of community policing norms. Ozturk, who is said to be in her final year at Tufts studying international relations, had no prior criminal record and was reportedly in the process of adjusting her visa status. Her family, now working with legal counsel, has released a brief statement urging the public to stand up for justice and due process. The case has renewed scrutiny over the blurred lines between immigration enforcement and basic civil rights. Activists point out that ICE has increasingly employed plainclothes agents and unmarked vehicles in recent years, practices that critics say resemble tactics used by authoritarian regimes, not democratic governments. Tufts University officials issued a carefully worded statement acknowledging Ozturk's detention and pledging to support her rights. "We are deeply concerned by the manner of her apprehension and are in contact with her legal representation," the statement read. Students held a campus vigil the following night, holding signs that read, "We are all Rumeysa and no more secret police." The phrase "we're the police," caught on video in response to Ozturk's plea, has quickly become a flashpoint in the broader debate over federal law enforcement powers. Critics argue that if officers refuse to identify themselves and offer no explanation for their actions, the foundational principle of due process begins to erode. This isn't just about Rumeysa, said Harvard law professor Julianne Ortiz. It's about the future of civil liberties in America. If agents of the state can seize you off the street without warning, without identification, and without explanation, then the constitutional protections we claim to cherish are paper thin. As of now, Ozturk remains in federal custody. Her legal team is preparing to file for her immediate release, citing due process violations and excessive use of force. A rally is planned outside the Boston Icefield office this weekend, and national media attention is growing.
This beggars belief, doesn't it? You've mentioned it this morning already. This story about a concerned couple, two parents, who raised questions about the recruitment process of the new head teacher at their children's school. They had two children at this school, and the school referred the matter to Hertfordshire Constabulary. The parents were, and this is totally normal. Parents discuss all sorts on WhatsApp groups. They had also raised their concerns with the school, so it wasn't as though they were going behind their back. The school referred to the matter to Hertfordshire Constabulary. They apparently complained about the high volume of emails, and they said the couple were casting aspersions on the school on social media, especially on WhatsApp parenting groups. So 6 uniformed officers turned up, arrested the parents in front of their children, in front of their young girls, and they were held in a cell for 8 hours to be questioned. And 5 weeks later, the case has been dropped, unsurprisingly. But actually, if you read, there's quite a few pieces on this and comment on this in the Times. And the parents are saying, actually, they've had quite, they felt PTSD after this. It wasn't just a kind of, this is ridiculous. It actually is sounds like it's been quite a traumatic process for them.
Well, they searched the house, didn't they?
Searched the house. One of the children has learning difficulties.
Yeah.
She's neurodivergent.
Yep.
Really quite distressing for the daughters.
Yep.
Maxie Allen, he's a producer, a radio producer. He's a completely sane, normal chap. He said when he sees a police car driving by, he does feel kind of quite stressed out.
You can only presume there's no other crime going on in Hertfordshire.
Well,
there's no
quite.
shoplifting, no cars being nicked,
No.
Well,
no
if
violence,
only.
no robbery. If you can find 6
Why would
officers
you
to
send
rock up.
6 officers?
Well, they said it's in order to search the house, to look for
Search the house for what?
electronic items, to try and find out how many emails were sent or
for God's
WhatsApps.
sake.
But what this does, it damages the reputation of the police, I
Yes,
think.
it does.
Of course. So
Of
we're
course it does.
searching the children's bedrooms.
Well, they say the house was searched, so presumably yes. Yeah.
But once again, it makes one feel, even though we shouldn't feel this, I am on about 20 tedious WhatsApp parenting groups, and the things that people say on these groups, it makes you think, maybe I shouldn't say that, even though that's completely invalid and we should never feel that. It makes you think, maybe I need to think twice before I say that on
Exactly
Facebook or that on X.
It gets you
or
into freedom of speech, doesn't it?
Of course it
Whether or not
does.
you're not happy with your child's school, you say,
Yeah,
well, the
you
head
say
teacher
that.
could be better. Well, I don't like that. I'm going to tell the police. It's just nuts.
A seemingly private conversation among parents has erupted into a public controversy after 2 individuals were arrested for expressing concerns about their children's school in a WhatsApp group. The arrests, made under the pretense of malicious communications, have drawn sharp criticism from across the political spectrum and reignited long-standing concerns over free speech, police overreach, and the creeping surveillance culture in modern Britain. Political commentator Duncan Box didn't mince words. What this does, it damages the reputation of the police. His sentiment echoes a broader public reaction that sees the arrests not as an act of justice, but as a gross misjudgment by law enforcement in an era already fraught with institutional mistrust. Indeed, the case has set off alarm bells for civil liberties advocates, who say it's yet another example of police applying vague communication laws to silence dissent or manage community relations through fear rather than dialogue. The school at the center of the storm has remained silent, citing an ongoing investigation. but within the local community and increasingly on national platforms. A rage is growing. Parents are organizing a meeting to discuss the incident, and legal crowdfunding has begun for the affected families. The broader political question now looms large. If parents can be arrested for venting frustrations in private groups, what does that say about the health of free speech in the UK?